All right, so we're having some periodic channel going offline shenanigans happening today pretty consistently, and I'm going to go ahead and blame E3. I've got no drop frames on my end, and if there's any issues with the stream, guys, if you're hearing this now and this happens to you in the future, please just do me a favor and hit refresh. That should solve your problems, I think. At least it has been for other people consistently through the cast, but yeah, E3 is going on. It's a pretty big deal, and I'm pretty sure it's taking up like 99% of Twitch's resources, so we are probably getting a little bit of the shaft on that regard. That being said, we're still going to continue casting. We're here with the Corsair Cup. Spawning in the upper left side of the map, it's going to be the Pink Terran, Beastyqt.
In the top right, as the blue Zerg, he's Liquid Snute. Oh.
Now this will be a pretty interesting one, because Snute is a player who I want to really stress thrives in the macro game. He'll play the Ravager style mid-game, he'll get to Ultralist late game, and he's boasted himself several times, saying like once he gets to the late game, he feels like he is unbeatable.
Yeah, and he's kind of proven it too. I mean, who did he play against actually? Well, he played against Thermal. I was thinking of the game Thermal, which eventually lost, but there might have been a bit of a tilt factor included in that once he lost the first game, and it was kind of downhill from there. But up until that first game that he lost, it was actually looking like it was going to be a 5-0, because it's the best of 9, right? And then things like sprouted out of control. But he looked like damn good. So I definitely believe in Snute getting to that point of no return against Beastyqt. But Beastyqt does play very different than other Terrans.
Right.
He'll throw in some special tactics. He'll throw in some turtle games, and he'll be better than others with it too.
I think if you go turtle and invader, you're gonna have a bad time. But that being said, he is one of the few foreigners who seems to be pretty comfortable with using ghosts. Something I think a lot of people are missing out on right now. And a lot of folks, again, going to Liberators and Marauders and Tanks because people don't want, I almost feel like don't want to learn how to use Ghosts. I mean, that's being very presumptuous here. I think everyone knows how to use Ghosts, but really you do see 2 out of 10 good Terrans, and there's only 10 Terrans, right? At least that's what it feels nowadays, that actually will go for Ghosts at all.
You know what's so weird? Like, you could literally take our conversation right now and put it in Heart of the Swarm, but you just swap the races. It's like, oh, late game Protoss is so difficult, and you can't, like, some people are good with Ghosts, and some people just aren't good with Ghosts, and some people are just giving up on Ghosts entirely. Late game Zerg, though, that's actually might be Terran favored a little bit. Like, the races have really swapped, and Ghosts have swapped in their prevalence in each matchup, too.
Yeah. Snute's also been in this funny style where this is granted more against Protoss than anything else, but we've been seeing just this crazy amount of Ling usage out of him, too. He's not a player who's going to need a Larva Inject buff because he's been using macro hatcheries like crazy, and he'll take a lot of bases. Again, so much of this matchup for me is a lot to do with like what's Beasty planning for the late game, but also for me, like what's Snute planning to do before the late game. Because what we said, that's where he thrives. He's not a player who is at all shy about playing the early game or the mid game. Already knocked down these rocks too. Also, small side shout out, nothing to do with this cup. Snute's made a map, which he designed with Avex, on the 17th, so 4 days from now, we'll be casting that.
Yep. You know what's so weird? We're getting to the end of the month. Well, I mean, okay, not
it's
exactly
like halfway
the
through the month.
But the point is, we're almost done with our 1.5, 2 month ruling cast every day schedule.
Yeah, we're going to get our first break on the 18th.
Yeah, but then, I mean, there's actually, I probably have to reschedule stuff later for next month, but it's actually like, there's like, I don't know, there's a time where we actually have like a block of nothing, which is so weird. For the last month to 2 months, we've just been like, oh yeah, tomorrow's casting something.
So it's not been as grueling as I feel February was, and maybe it's just because we're used to doing it already once. But
Maybe.
I'm not going to lie, I've been like having a bad case of the lonelies lately, man. I can only ever get out of the house like once. Because like everything else is so focused around what we're doing.
Yeah.
So I'm looking forward to that time off. Again, like I think it's like one day on the 18th because the Alima League got moved. We have a day off, and then Homestar Cup weekend. I'm just not even going to do any StarCraft. I won't even watch Homestar Cup except for the finals. Like I've just got to decompress.
Yeah. I'm just prepping you guys, obviously, you know, because you're going to be like so BaseTradeTV starved. You're going to be so sad.
I am excited to see that viewer streamer number thing that they started up on Team Liquid again, though. Last month was a little bit wonky because we missed half of it due to DreamHack. But I feel like we should be the kings of June, baby.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. All right, so these double drops aren't really doing what they intended to, not yet. Maybe I spoke too soon. I mean, in an ideal
Top of the
world,
ramp is a really nice spot to take a fight.
Yeah, these double drops actually, they go unnoticed, they drop entirely, and they stim and kill like tons of drones or even a base. But in this world, Snute has a lot of queens.
I mean, every world I think he does. That's Snute for you in a nutshell. You can go to any alternate reality and that's Snute. He could be a girl and she'd still make a lot of queens.
And he had enough lings, so he didn't even really need a baneling nest, even though it's usually what would be really safe.
Coming back in,
it's gonna like Snute already anticipated this. He has 2 spore crawlers, in fact.
Yeah, second one also comes up. This is gonna force the Liberator back, but I love the idea of like securing the landing zone with the Liberator. That's pretty cool to see. As you know, he wasn't gonna get too much damage with the spore crawler zone that made. Beasty though, not super dependent on damage right now. I'm a little bit surprised he's so late to his 3rd. And more importantly, this isn't already an orbital, so you see, is he gonna actually just make like a planetary at his 3rd?
I actually wouldn't be entirely surprised if he did. This might be a situation, though, of I need to transfer workers before I have to worry about getting that 3rd mule. And sometimes if you're really oversaturated and you're in a hurry, it is better to move it over as a regular command center. And he is pretty oversaturated in his natural.
I mean, I'm a fan of the hashtag riff logic version of doing 3 orbitals and then just making your 4th.
Well, the reason I would be surprised on this map is that, like, you know, I kind of like earlier said, like, you know, good luck trying to like turtle on Invader, right?
Yeah, exactly.
It's just too spread out. But I mean, this would be the jumping off point for your attack. I guess it's a little different than the initial version of Invader, where I think a planetary would make even more sense with the bridges in between each other's thirds. But it is still the, you know, if Stu is going to be aggressive, and I don't think he is, but if he was, that's the point where he would try and kill. But it's not. It was just letting him transfer over his workers much faster.
All right, well, the hive starts up. I mean, we talked about Eki earlier going for these really fast 8.5-minute hives. He was going to have like an 8-minute hive. Of course, for him, we all know once those Ultralists pop, the fun don't stop, at least for the Zerg side of things. But I can't see Beasty like going towards Ghost anytime soon or even having the money to do so.
Yeah, right. I mean, this timing is hitting with not even 1-1 and barely even sim combat shields. So this is pretty bad how late the tech is. But when he said that, I just imagine one of those, like, you know, the funny commercial that turns into a horror commercial. It's like it starts out as like an innocent kid's cereal, and then it turns into like the kid's cereal mascot pops out and starts killing everyone. Have you not seen that?
I've seen versions of similar things.
But like the idea, right? You just like when he said that, I just imagine someone opening a Pringles can and out pops an Ultralisk and just kills your like whole family.
It's got the old burrow chargers burrowed inside the can the whole time. Like,
yeah.
Actually, have you seen the unedited footage of a bear?
No.
It turns into like that psycho allergy commercial. Then the mom's like crazy and like super split person. You've never seen this?
No.
You need to YouTube unedited footage of a bear later then. Anyways, this fight goes pretty damn good for Beasty. Kites around most of that. He's got the Ravagers and the Queens to still chew through, though. That's a lot of meat and a lot of beef in this army to get through, but still that tank on the low ground, and the Marines take out most of the Lings. This is forcing Snute to use a lot of his money, so he can't casually sail to Ultras. So while this attack didn't do a lot of damage to the economy or hurt the hatchery, it still did some pretty nice indirect damage.
Yeah. Yeah, Snute really didn't want to use all of his larvae and all of his minerals on that defense. Ends up getting 8 more drones and a handful of queens, of course. And I guess with that, feels pretty safe. I mean, that was not like a huge push, but it was a push across a very big map. And Snute's creep spread for the most part is pretty good. So I guess he felt very comfortable after pushing that back. But there's round number 2 already about midway across the map. No tanks involved with this one, but there's a Liberator. Oh, I guess, well, there's the old tank, but the Ultralisk Cavern about halfway done. He's including a Nidus Worm, so maybe taking some notes from Nurchio.
I really like the idea of a Nidus Worm. Just, again, to catch Terran off guard in such a big, surprising way. Maybe it is a note out of Nurchio's book, maybe it's not, but Snute's certainly one who knows how to play this late game and wouldn't need to steal other strategies, much as devise his own.
Yeah.
Gonna keep pushing though. That fungal growth not so hot. One of the infestors goes down on that front line, taking a bit of an odd spot. That's actually where the Nidus is. I just assumed this was the main. I didn't look over here because why would you put a Nidus on the front lines like this?
Because that's where your army would be defending? I don't know. Well, the attack still is looking it's going to break Snute. So we got 40 more lanes on the way.
I still
Bio's
love
pretty
Beasty is
unhealthy.
taking really great fights. Players struggle to even trade in these scenarios, and he's actually cost effectively tagging out with Snute. I mean, look at Snute's
Well,
army right now. There's no ultras. That's what's really key for me.
That's absolutely true, but there's also, I mean, like, look at Beastyqt. There's no setup for the late game either. Like, you know, he might have a 4th base on the way, but where's the 2nd starport? Where's the Ghost Academy? There's the Ghost Academy. Nidus War was a cool idea. I think it had Lings in that, but it was scouted very easily.
Yeah.
But I don't even think he needed to buy time if that was his main goal with that. He should have enough time now to get to Chitinous Plating and Ultras and Infestors. And now Beastyqt is starting to get his own late game. So, I mean, you're right. It was pretty even, like, in all terms. Like, actual army trades, like, mineral trades, bank trades, tech trades. Only thing that wasn't a trade was Snute does have faster upgrades, and that kind of sucks. But I think that more and more Terrans are getting used to that in this matchup.
So, by the way, it does look like we're heading towards more Liberators, less Ghosts for the way this late game's shaping up. The only reason I'm not a fan of this move, actually, is not because of the effectiveness versus Ultras or not, but because Snute's still continuing to invest in a lot of Ravagers, and he showed a lot of Ravagers in the mid-game. Liberators, for as good as they are, they can't move. And those Corrosive Biles are devastating.
Yeah, it's tricky. Plus, I mean, if the game starts really just getting to this point, right, where, like, drops are the main concern, not so much, like, big, major army battles, you can start accruing quite a bank. Both of you can, depending on how good, you know, it goes for you. And a Spire transition is inevitable for Corruptors, but also for Broodlords. This drop was actually not expected by Snute. Of course, he has 4 Crawlers, so that only covers so much. His army back now. Nothing too much to worry about. 8 drones and brings Snute down to 65. No big deal. He does plant down that Spire here and now. Maybe worried about the Liberator transition. Maybe just wanting something to take care of the Medivacs. Or to go to the Greater Spire.
No! Okay, there goes Liberators. I feel like mobile Liberators should never die to Corrosive Biles ever.
Well,
Not unless you got like a fungal growth or something, but the Ghosts are certainly interesting because I look at this and maybe it's for the Ultras, maybe that's what he's thinking, maybe it's not. I mean, again, I really like this over the Liberator choice, but with the Infestors that were shown earlier, he may be concerned about EMPs too. I don't know. Either way, good tools to have and good units to have in the late game. And as stated before, Beasty is one of the few players in the game who's pretty well versed with Ghosts.
yeah. Snute even getting into the missile upgrade.
That may just be because he's maxed out everywhere.
Yeah, that'll help us Queens.
You got like 2k in the bank. It couldn't hurt to have that investment of just in cases. But fungal growth goes down. These Spore Crawlers. Yo, you've heard me talk about it before in stream. I love Zerg players who do static defense. These Spore Crawlers took care of those Medivacs so easily.
Yeah, and that does make the drop itself a lot less powerful.
He's not
He
bringing
should
enough
take care
back
of
for
it
this.
still,
Like he's segmented like a
but-
small amount of Marine Lings thinking that would do it, but it's not. Oh, does he not have? He does
have everything.
Yeah.
Oh, I thought you meant Hero Lens. Well, everyone has everything.
Yeah, everyone is actually playing fully teched up in this, and this is what I really like. This is also crazy for me to see this go so far on Invader. Usually Terran are just choked out so badly, and this map is really not conducive to the way Terran wants to play and build, but BC continue to expand to the south. Snute got that creep spread going like crazy. Still an option for a Nidus Swarm again later on, but that Greater Spire finishes up soon. Beasty's also going for the high-capacity fuel tanks, an upgrade rarely seen, but for those who don't know, this will give Medivacs basically 3 extra seconds of boost, but it has a double effect on it where, because the upgrade starts as soon as you use the ability and not when it finishes, it also gives 3 seconds off the cooldown in a way.
Yeah. I mean, it's very effective for Medivacs, and I guess if you're planning on using it to save your Medivacs, which is pretty important because you're going to be using a lot of minerals and gas in that starport production,
Yeah.
you don't want to have to make Medivacs anymore. Or if you're thinking about dropping later on.
Oh, Marine saw the Nidus Worm. Can you do much about it though? He's not in position. There's a lot of ghosts. Sim City could be conducive here. The Planetary's going to hold for a little bit. He actually, speaking of everybody having everything, he doesn't have armor upgrades on the buildings, which might not be too bad, but these Ultras getting sniped like crazy, not fast enough on their transfuse.
Ghost snipes do happen pretty quickly, and the Queens are not able to match them, so unfortunately what looked to be a good snipe here did not end up happening.
This was almost really good, trying to use this to try and catch BC out of position to let the Lings run through, and it kind of worked in form of distraction. Lots of ghosts going down to this.
Yeah.
He doesn't have a wall off anymore. He tries to snipe the Overseers, realizing Cloak wasn't going to be enough. This is actually trouble for Beasty, but he He is finding the top of this with the army. Lots of ghosts in that front line. He doesn't want to lose these precious
five,
ghosts.
6,
Oh no!
7, 8,
That's
9.
all the ghosts.
I mean, that's all of his ghosts actually. It's just not counting.
Oh my god! Snute just
I
traded out.
was gonna say 6 ghosts for like a handful of
And look at
lings.
this.
Probably always worth it, but all of the ghosts.
But look at this. He's using that specifically to remax on ultras. 12 on the way, and ghosts were the answer for the ultras, but not anymore.
I can't believe how effective that ling run by was. That just ended Beastyqt's life.
The Ultralisks in the
done.
south needed to be responded to, but clearly that was the best distraction he could have hoped for. And now, BC, you're right. Like I don't think it's recovering off of a 60 army supply deficit at this point. He's got mining, he's got planetaries, but production's going to be so slow.
We talk about it commonly in the very late game scenarios. You know, we kind of yelled at what Zerg was it? We were yelling at a Zerg for not making lings and still just trying to win with ultras, when actually lings would have been more effective. It was Guru? Okay.
Guru,
Yeah,
if there's ever a stupid thing a Zerg player's done and you're like, why did that work? And we're yelling at them, I'm pretty sure it's Guru.
Okay.
Like,
So
why would you go 19 lurkers with no support? Oh, you still won the game. Okay, Guru. Why would you go 40 Ultralisks with no support, lose them all to drops, and still win the game? Okay, Guru.
Okay, well, let's say that it was him. But the point is, like, I mean, lings can be the more effective option because they've countered the Ultralisks so hard that, I mean, they have Liberators that aren't good against lings, and they have Ghosts that aren't good against lings. Blah. And not a lot of bio, which is the only way to take care of them.
Well, that was a pretty fantastic game number 1 out of both players, but Snute really showcasing his forward thinking, especially in that late game. And not so much about the lol ultralist aspect that we so often see. It's a really good game in my eyes. We're going to go to a small break, guys, 2 minutes while I fix some things here with the stream. Double check why it keeps going offline, and we'll see you guys in 2 minutes. All right, hopping directly back into the game, folks. Game number 2 in this best of 3, round of 8 for the Corsair Cup. And I was really hoping when I went to go look, it would be something on my end I could fix, but whatever's causing the hiccups on the stream appears to definitely be on Twitch's side. So a little bit sad in that regard. But hopefully you guys are able to muscle through. Again, if the stream goes offline for whatever reason, hit refresh. That seems to be fixing it for everybody. But again, E3 is going on. It's a pretty big deal, and it's eating up a lot of Twitch. So I imagine we're kind of a little bit on the outskirts for this one. But of course, this cup, this tournament, every single week brought to you by Corsair. So again, if you guys don't even plan to buy their gear, which I would actually recommend, K70 keyboard, Void headsets, the rest of the stuff is up to you. But those are the two things I personally love the most. The K70 keyboard and, of course, the Void headset. Check them out on their website. You can click on all the links down below in the stream, and it would certainly help us out a lot if you went to visit their site through those links, because that's how they know you came from BaseTradeTV. That being said, spawning to the bottom right side of the map, he had a damn good game 1. We'll see if he can maybe get a better game 2 and tie this up. It's the Yellow Terran Beastyqt.
In the top left, as the red Zerg, he is Liquid Snute. Ooh. Oh, 2 barracks, you say. How about a 3rd one?
What could it be for Reapers? There you go.
Oh, yeah, I think it is for Reapers, but... Can we get a 4th one? Can you go 5 racks Reaper? No.
Well, I remember you're like, could you even afford a 5th one, a 4th one? Like, what's going on? I'm like, yeah. Silly zombie up who always plays macro and never cheeses. Of course you wouldn't know that.
Well, I know you can afford 5 on one base if you don't proxy, because that's what we saw Igus do all the time.
Yeah.
But that game was proxied. I really didn't think you could afford it.
Well, either way, this is a little bit abusive. Frozen Temple's got a lot of ways to get into the main, limited ways to get into the natural, but the point is this is supposed to hit hard and be unseen. So Snoot's going to see the first Reaper and think nothing of it. That's pretty normal for what a TvZ is. It's when you start seeing that second one come out so quick, and that third one, you suddenly have to start investing in lots of lings or lots of roaches or something other than just drones and queens to hold on.
Well, the Overlord is not going to scout this for still some time. Oh, no, wait, it would see the second Reaper. Okay, now it knows at least 2 barracks are out, so there's the Roach Warren. And he is going to need that because it's definitely a little more dedicated to even 2 racks Reaper. I have a lot of faith in Beastyqt's control, but not as much faith as, like, say, someone like Euthermal. So, still, it's definitely risky for him to do this. See if he can actually clump up all these Reapers and get that snowball effect.
Forgot just how badly grenades hurt those larvae.
It's pretty good.
Might be able to just kill that egg even. Really close, 8 health left. Taking away at it with these Reapers. All that armor for nothing.
Yeah.
So this is a good start for Beasty, but this is hardly snowbally. He's going to throw down the command center in the main to play it a little bit safe. I like this. Pressure going to the natural base, but as roaches start coming out soon, it is worth noting that Reapers can contest roaches, but not Ravagers.
Mm-hmm. At this point, if the Reapers are only attacking your natural hatchery, you don't have to really be worried about an all-in, or losing, basically. Like, it's still pretty dedicated from Beastyqt, but you don't have to worry about, you know, suddenly a lot of drones dying and all of your queens dying. Like, they are probably macroing back at home, which Snute does not scout, but might have an inkling because of just the path the Reapers have taken in this game. Still can't really push out against them, though, and that's what's so good about this build, is even if you have Ravagers, even if you have 50 Speedlings, it's still the case where the grenades are just too good. They can hop up, hop down, get back to the main base, and they can still throw grenades on their own ramp, and you just aren't going to break them.
This is still so dedicated at a Beastie, and what I find really funny is that third CC coming up behind it. It's a way to catch up from dedicating so much, but the problem with this is a lot on timings, and it's not about like anything else other than the fact that your starport's really late, your factory's really late. In fact, he's just going for a tech lab and not even either of the other two options. So as he takes a third CC, he'll have SCVs, he'll have mules, certainly, but if these Reapers all die in a blaze of glory, he has no real follow-up. That's kind of the important thing here, as we see even as they dive in to get these grenade shots off, the grenade shots are abusive and almost working. The Ravagers also get a counterattack with each auto attack.
This is always so frustrating for the Zerg player, but I mean, eventually they hold and they can get their third base and they can try and play a macro game, but it's snowballed in a different way. It isn't snowballed to an instant, you know, GG with all the drones dead, but it's snowballing in that Snute can't macro evenly with Beastyqt.
Yeah, and the auto attacks out of these Reapers are starting to get some serious damage done. Stacked up with so many, each round's going to be a couple of hundred damage as they get these auto attacks, but man, I gotta give it to Snute. Like, as tough as this has been, he's maintained a really nice army supply. The Ravagers are still alive. Beastie might decide to go to the main, but with the Creep Tumor and the Overlord over here, he'd see that coming. In fact, guesswork as to where the Creep Tumor is. Blows it up. Nicely done.
Yeah, very nice.
Oh my god, this Rax production. He's not even thinking about much else. He's just gonna go ham on these Marines. Combat Shields and Stim starts simultaneously. The follow-up bio push out of this is gonna be crazy.
Yeah, I don't think Snute can do anything right now. Like, it's just his third is too late. His drone count's okay, but that third, the tech, it just is it's not gonna match Beastyqt in like a minute. Like, if Snute could attack right now, if all the Reapers suicided, Snute probably does something to really even up this game, but they're still going to just be defensive, holding on. The Reapers included with the actual bio attack, by the way, can add so much potential to it.
Oh yeah, they create that little like element of crowd control. You just can't attack into them directly. This though is really, first off, for Beastie, he did great jobs denying that third for as long as he did. He took out a lot of creep tumors that were not just being planted down here on the front lines, but also here on the side. And Snute's one of these guys who will get away with creep if you let him. But again, I gotta point out the production for Beastie is gonna be so sick. It's only just now as his reactors and add-ons all finished up. He's still trading out not so badly. I'm actually really envious of this Reaper control. God knows every time I've tried to do this, it goes poorly and I'm already dead.
Yeah. Well, also usually at this point they've bothered to get speedlings. Excuse me, but he hasn't. So those speedlings add that little bit of an element where like the Reapers can't grenade themselves and maybe one or two start getting picked off. Like really, against Roaches and Ravagers, okay, well, of course the Bile hits as soon as they talk about it, but they're not supposed to really get any hits on these Reapers. And they're not getting surrounds, obviously, so it's just very annoying for Snute to deal with. He finally gets his third base though, and he still is at he's at a drone count. It's not really all that good, and Beastyqt's been too close on 3 CCs, so that's 3 mules to really be great for Snute, who has been losing the income more. But at least it's something. He's going to try and get up to that infestation pit to go for Roach, Ravager, Infester, which is certainly a composition that can buy a lot of time. Get some pretty lucky fungals, get some good corrosive biles, suddenly things do turn in your favor.
Well, this army is not insanely overpowered looking, but still sizable nonetheless. The Infestors are very interesting to see. These are going to be without the Passaging Land upgrade, but
Ooh.
If they get those fungal growths off, that's going to be nasty. Reapers jump towards the main. There's nothing over here to stop them from getting all these grenades off on the drones. And as Snute potentially pushes in to defend the main, this army pushes in to kill the third. So he's splitting his forces right now in a very awkward manner. Takes out that Ravager. Not a problem. Walks away from the Corrosive Bile. Out here on the right side, Beasty's doing like 5 things at once. He's handling them all very nicely. But these Reapers in the main are really getting out of control.
Yeah, I thought that he would include them with the main attack, and that probably would have helped quite a bit, but trying to split Snute's army also was a great idea by Beastyqt. Starting on top of these queens, they're running out of chance fuses, might be able to get that on one infestor.
Oh, focus the infestors, yeah, absolutely. Gets the infestors, great trade-offs as he runs away, loses one of the medevacs, but not the one with all the units inside of it. He goes 11 drones, and cost-effectively, not too bad, but it's the follow-up push that really looks scary.
Does he not have a reactor on his starport? No, he does. Okay, that's odd. It just seems like he's been producing one at a time for some while. But double factories, I didn't notice, also went down.
That's what I was about to point out when I was looking for that starport. That's a little bit surprising to see as well. Not that that's a good versus a bad thing, but this is somebody who opened with like 4 racks Reaper. You would never expect to have the money to spend on these things.
Actually, you can clearly see he doesn't have the money to spend on it, or the gas, more importantly. His gas guys, I think, came down a little bit late, because you usually don't need them that quickly on third base, but you do for the tanks. So now, as they're getting back to mining, he has that upgrade, double tank, double marauder, double medevac production.
The fungals were not that great. They missed a large portion of the army. Now dancing around, a couple tanks on the low ground, not really involved with the fight, but the marauder count really getting out of hand. Picks up some of the tanks to shuffle them around up to the high ground, and Snute, he's in a lot of trouble. Make no mistake, the army supplies might look similar, but they're not. A lot of it's dead weight and low energy queens, low energy infestors. Those tanks will have a hell of a time just shelling away once they get baited into the fight, which they currently are. Brought in from the north side. Beasty just going to completely wreck Snute's army on the front lines.
Yeah. The only thing is his lack of medevacs, and these medevacs are out of energy. That's making it a little bit questionable if he can really push and win.
He's stimming a lot here, too.
He should be able to rally forward and win like anyway. The infestors are really the backbone here, along with the Ravagers, really, and they're running out of both.
They're throwing out invested Terrans because they can't afford fungals. It's like desperate, to say the least. The Roach count's starting to build up quite a bit behind this, but that's where these tanks become even more effective, I feel. A bunker comes down in the one spare place of creep. He's going to have to actually waste some shots on it, funny as that is. But got to shuffle these tanks around. Only 2 medevacs to do that with, but he's doing it pretty well. Takes on Snute's army once again and just continues to rally to those front lines. Both players on similar army supplies. Snute's finishing up 2-2, but so is Beasty. This has really been toe-to-toe for these two titans.
Yeah. But as those tanks start leapfrogging forward...
Oh, awkward. Nice pickup.
God. It's gonna be tough to take care of those.
But that's the thing. He really hasn't been able to leapfrog for. In fact, he's only been losing ground with the tanks.
And I think that is a lot, once again, to blame on the lack of medevacs. He finally has a gas bank. He's been trading off either 2 tanks or 2 medevacs with his limited gas income. So now he can finally get both, but it might be a little too late. If Snute can break the bio, maybe he can chase the tanks.
I'm surprised the tanks aren't on the right side of this wall, by the way. I thought really, even with the rocks being torn down on the north side, that's where the attack would come from. Not this ramp, but still both players trading out. I mean, I cannot begin to stress how close this is, but Beasty's definitely looking to be a better spot. Mule's going to drop, but not out of BM. He wants to repair these very injured tanks. I love it.
When the tanks were all alone, it looked very scary for Beastyqt, but Snute just, he didn't have enough army to actually get blasted by 6 tanks and still live to take them on.
Liberate the main gets picked off. I also love this creep denial out of Snute to make sure Beasty doesn't really jump ahead to 4 and 5 bases despite this attack.
I think Snute is being broken, finally. I mean, to hold on for 3 minutes longer than anticipated is great, and that's the power of Roach, Ravager, and Infestor, but... he's all out of infestors. Long got so many Ravagers left over.
They all get baited into the tank fire once again, and the bio is going to be able to take on these roaches. 2-2 versus 2-2. A lot of Corsair balls actually hitting the tanks, though. Beasty was doing such a good job of keeping these alive earlier, now struggling to keep them alive for these Corsair bile hits. Beasty's front line gets broken, and Snute actually defends.
He has 2 tanks that weren't doing anything, by the way. They were just rallied in, so that was a little unfortunate. And I can't believe that Snute actually not only breaks that, but suddenly takes an army supply lead after dipping down so much, without the help of infestors.
The army supply lead's not too surprising. You gotta consider what he's doing, right? Lots of roaches, lots of ravagers. Those are supply, abundant units.
Okay,
but
yes, but he pushed into tanks at, I think a 15 deficit.
Yes.
and came out ahead. That's pretty impressive. So this game is not over yet, but Beastyqt should still be in the momentum seat. Like, he should still win this game. Everything goes right, but a couple things did go wrong in that, and he still has to... It's not an aim move to win situation at all.
Currently, we got a really great game going with Guru and Strange. That's not being cast, but Guru is streaming his own match on Team Liquid, so if it's not over by the time you've heard this, you guys can absolutely be sure to check that out. But Beasty's not done yet. I really thought he was going to break Snute with that fight. Oh, it gets a little bit awkward as the Ravagers start clumping up. Oh, the Medivac still goes down, but tanks living, looking for their shots. Bio comes in for the south. Lots of unsieged tanks in this fight, too. Not too bad. Pop, pop as they shoot off. Unfortunately, one Medivac too shy of getting those tanks out uninjured. Let's not forget there's infestors now, too. Fungal Growth's going to hold things in place for the Ravagers to actually... It's like the bully who holds you up while the other bully punches you. That's the Fungal Growth purpose here. Ravagers looking for those hits. Hold some of the tanks and Medivac's in place, but is it enough? Lots of tanks on the backside. Oh, who's lagging at this point? Me. Okay, cool. Awkward.
You. Yeah, I was going to say, I don't feel any lag at all.
It's like a small 1 second hiccup. But anyways,
okay,
point is, this came down so damn close and so down to the wire. But looks like Beasty's rally finally breaks that. But Snute's going to have 16 more roaches popping. Can he kill the hatchery and get out alive? That's the real question at this point.
Last chance fuse goes into it. Drones are being pulled now, too. 17 more roaches would take care of this army, but they're just not here quite yet.
The drones
are
being pulled.
still alive. So they can go back to mining. There they go.
Yeah,
and the tank's all alone now.
Yeah, he's going to have to back away once again. Like, it's every time Beasty comes in here, he'll take a good fight, but they just barely can't follow it up. Of course, this is almost like to no fault of his own. That's just the power, again, of Roaches and Ravagers when handled correctly. Yeah. But at this point, for BC, like, the question's like, what do? Your main's mined out, maybe lift that over, try and take a fifth boldly, but Snute's got that on lockdown with his creep spread. So it's not easy for BC to continue and expand while this goes on. He will have the advantage of 3-3 and +2 on those tanks now, though. Something that Snute was on even upgrades before, but without Hive Tech can no longer match.
And it would be very, very difficult to get to Hive Tech. Even with his 5th base up, it's not necessarily mining. He doesn't really have that big of a bank because he has been just holding on for dear life. Scan goes down in a very odd position, but I guess that was where all the tech was. If there's Ultra's Cavern, it would have gone down there too. Doesn't see too much except that there's an Invisation Pit, which he knew. He saw infestors, so we'd probably want to scout that Hive.
This would be a sweet planetary, but it's not, so he's going to lift it up and try and walk away with it instead. Not a bad alternative.
He finally scans the lair to confirm it's not a hive yet, by the way. So that should give Beastyqt a lot of, like, if he was just barely not killing Snute after the damage he did, or the macro game he got, and Snute was getting to Ultralisk right now, I think Beastyqt would just be like, what is this race?
Yeah, that's what you just, like, I'm done with this stupid game. David Kim wants to buff Zerg? Please!
Yeah, it has been a tough game for him. Snute actually lacking in gas, has not taken his 6th gas back, or sorry, that's his 8th gas back. I guess that was killed in the earlier fight. That's a little unfortunate because he can't start gas mining from this base with it being under siege and all.
I gotta say, I'm impressed with Snute as more than Beasty in this sort of situation. No offense to Beasty, love him to death, and I hope he takes us to an ace match. But it is something to see somebody so pressured not die, but also push back. That's the difference of Snute and everybody else. I feel so many Zergs would have died to Beasty by now.
Yeah.
And we can make all the jokes about race all day, but there really hasn't been any racial like moments in this game, right? You're like, oh, nice Baneling hand or nice Ultralisk. Like, this has just been really good, effective use of both sides of the playing field, Terran and Zerg alike.
Well, Snute is a little poor after losing that base, but still with a very good army. Again, the Infestors, they don't need these upgrades. The Corrosive Biles, they don't need those upgrades. And if both of them can hit a good chunk of the army, that's still, you know, a good army for Snute. But it is all dependent on those spells, which can be very difficult to actually hit.
Yeah, there's been a war of attrition, I think is the best way to describe some of this. Like, just at this point, everyone getting hungry and no one able to consistently remax after these fights. Fungal Growth looked fantastic. Beasty had a lot of unsieged tanks, but as they siege up, Snute backs the hell away.
Yeah. This is a position that Snute might be able to sneak a hive in. Almost maxed out, actually even with the Terran right now, and just enough of a bank.
So I don't know that you need to, is the thing. Like, obviously, in a perfect world, yes, you've got Hive Tech behind it and the option to make Broodlords or Ultras. But we've seen Snute fighting so well with Infestors and Corrosive Biles. I think the two combos are more than enough to keep fighting. And let's not forget, back in the day, that was the strategy Nurchio first used to break Beyond. Beyond, who was on like an impossible no Korean Zerg could touch him win streak, then Nurture comes along with this sort of strategy and knock him down.
I mean, it might work still. You know, maybe Beastyqt does get fungal corrosive bile to death, but it is a case where even though Beastyqt has been thrown back multiple times, I think that the Terran army is going to get better.
It will, especially with the Liberators coming in. That's going to force Snute to have to pick, do you corrosive bile the Liberators or the tanks? Both huge threats, but spread out very nicely with these tanks. Marauder's going to be on that front line. He's fighting from a couple different sides, and Snute's going to break Beastie from behind as he's not paying attention. Tanks aren't being shuffled around. Corrosive biles are landing, but he's shuffling the tanks now. We'll see if he can trade out enough. Snute not going to be able to completely wipe him off the playing field, but he will take this fight.
Not the war, though. Beastyqt has expanded once again, and his army supply is now up 20. Snute's drone count has definitely disappeared, and looks like finally Snute can't remax.
You know what? For BC, Liberators are great, right? No one's going to argue against that. I want to see Banshees at this phase, man. Like, can you imagine 3 Banshees above a Ravager army, nothing to shoot up?
Damn. This is a hard-fought battle.
This is like one of the greatest TvZs we got to see in a while, because there's not been a lot of mistakes made, is what I think is really interesting. Normally we're the first ones to negatively point that out, but this was really well handled by both sides. Beastie will take the victory, though, tying this up 1-1. And also, your webcam quality has gone from potato to mashed potatoes in a matter of seconds.
On my side, it's pretty unclear.
I don't disbelieve you, but I think you're smiling. I'm not entirely sure, however.
Do you want me to do this?
I think we should restart the call, maybe. It's still very terrible. So we're going to go to a break while we set up Game 3. We'll try and get Skype fixed up, folks, and we'll see you in a few moments. Okay, we're back. You're getting into Game 3. It's tied up 1-1. BC just simply saying, you are really hard to kill. And I mean, that's a roach in general for you, am I right? Of course, if you guys missed Game 2, that would definitely, I recommend for whatever reason you're watching this, go through our VODs. Don't even watch this game. No matter how good this game's going to be, Game 2 was pretty freaking awesome. But that was a great game out of both players. I tweeted about it. I said, like, respect goes both ways. I couldn't believe how well they handled that situation. I mean, that was not a game where anybody won by a large margin. That came down to the wire. But at any rate, in Game 3, in the top left side of the map, it's going to be the light blue Terran player, Beastyqt.
The bottom left as the red Zerg, he is Liquid Snute.
Is that not what I said, though, man? Like, most Zergs would die in that situation, like 100%. Whether it was the tanks against the Roaches or Ravagers, or anyone versus that many Reapers. Just crazy cool to see Snute handle that so well. But Beastie's doing it once again and using some lower league tactics to hopefully distract his opponent through chats.
Yeah, talking to him, hopefully he just like won't notice. But also very clever putting the 2 racks off to the top. So say that Snute is trying his best to just kind of scout and leave with the Overlord, go somewhere else with the Overlord. He wouldn't actually see the other 2 racks, but he would still most likely see the second supply depot, which is still a tell, or the lack of the command center, you know? He did take the very direct to natural position. But it is not a gas 3 racks, it's a regular one, and because Snute took that direct position, his Overlord is now under fire.
It should get away, but the interesting thing to me is this bunker on the other side. He's gonna need more than 1 SCV if he wants to complete it, and that's where the extra 2 come in as he starts walking across the map. A Roach Warring gets made, but I wonder if Snute's wondering, like, is this a fake out? What's this going to be? Because again, he's not confirmed these extra 2 racks. 5 or so more SCVs get pulled with this. Beastie doesn't want to play long against Snute. He says, you're too hard to kill, and he's right, and he doesn't want to have to go through that all over again. So he's going to have to fight in the front lines here with his racks. Now this SCV's a little bit low. The other ones can repair him up. He did bring 5 more specifically to kind of guard the Marines and body block for them.
This is where it gets interesting, because even if the hatchery goes down, there might still be a potential for Snute to win. Assuming that he can actually break out. And he should be able to. Ravagers have really made it a lot easier.
Oh, I love this.
Roaches usually could, but Ravagers make it so much easier.
So it's a small detail and won't be a huge income, but I love that he actually sent some SCVs back home, because now he's in this position where if all the SCVs were pulled like this, it's all in. But he takes 2 gases, he's going to have all the SCVs mining again, and it looks like there is a follow-through on this. However, this hatchery looks like, actually, he might save it. He might just save it.
Oh, wow.
It's being focus fired down by the... It is by the bunker. By the bunker. Okay, he pops it off now. But this is the problem. Was this enough damage? There's a lot of roaches now, and a counterattack could be game-endingly scary as BC doesn't have a supply depot blocking that ramp. Bunker going to come up on the high ground. Bunker going to go up on the low ground. I don't think he's got time for this, though.
Depending on what Snute does, he wastes time anywhere, then I guess he might, but this is a risky scenario right here for Beastyqt.
I kind of wish he
cancel in that bunker.
I wish he didn't, though. I wish he would have given that time and bought a few more seconds for the high ground bunker. Comes down to the low ground with these Marines. Ravager's going to break through this pretty easily. GG gets called, and a bit of a letdown for Game 3, but a great series nonetheless. Snute will take the 2-1 and advance on to the semifinals. Zombie Grub, in the meantime, has been potato-fied even further. Oh, gosh.
You see what I'm doing?
Yeah, you're giving me the finger. It's very rude.
Okay.
Okay, so we've got some really interesting matches going on behind this, though. I'm actually going to screen read you the bracket. One, to cover your ugly-ass face right now, but secondly, because this is a really awesome setup for the finals of the tournament. So, whoop. Whoop. Look at this, guys. All right, so Bly's playing against Billowy. Billowy's a Korean Protoss who's been on, like, every Kespa team. That's got to be a pretty good match. The winner goes out to fight against Neeb, and Neeb, or whoever wins over there, goes out to fight against Snute in the semifinals. Major, already advancing on the bottom side of the bracket, fights what is potentially Euthermal, but Euthermal, more importantly, fights either Guru or Strange. So we're actually a little bit behind schedule, and I don't care, because this means we got really good best of threes remaining at this point. We're gonna have to grab one of the two, because neither of the semifinals will be ready to play. Unfortunately, Snute and Major are gonna be waiting probably about an hour before they get their next match. But Euthermal versus either of these two, or Neeb versus either of these two, are both gonna be fantastic matches. I'm a little bit more inclined to see Euthermal most of the time, because I think he is such a great player. But at the same time, Neeb playing one of these cups is such a rarity, so I really don't know which match we'll pick. It will likely just be whichever one is available first, however.
Yeah. Yep. Well...
What's this? Nathaniel says he wants to see Rifkin eating on camera. Yo, I've not eaten on camera for 3 years, dude. It's not happening anytime soon. I'm sorry.
Yeah, he's always turning the camera off if he eats during a stream.
I don't know what it is. I just don't like watching people watching me eat. Like, this would have to be like a Nathaniel's Pikachu suit level donation to have me be eating on stream.
So, I don't mind eating on stream. Like if I was doing like
well, you did a specific eating stream while you were in Korea. Like, hey
right.
guys,
I don't mind that so much as I mind just the idea of not doing anything. I guess. Like, you put it under creative, and you don't have to play a game to do it, but it just feels
dicking around, yeah.
Like I shouldn't be doing this, even though it's widely popular and people just want to like talk to you and watch you eat for whatever reason.
I mean, I'm a fan of that stuff. Like, you know, do your own thing. I'm not trying to censor anybody. I'm just not. It's like me and tattoos. I fucking love tattoos, but I'm too much of a pussy to ever get one. Same thing kind of goes to a stream. Like, I don't mind. You guys can do whatever you like. I just don't want to do it myself. But Poorly Informed just hit us up with a 26-month resub. Thank you kindly for that, dude. We had someone ask about earlier on Twitter before the cast began, by the way, about the giveaway for the arcade block promotion. So the 19th is the cutoff day for that. We're getting really close. 6 days left for your chance to get in and win. For those who don't know what I'm talking about, I'm going to pull this up on stream here just a moment, y'all. Wait, I thought I had replied to this earlier. Did I not reply to this? I thought I did. Oh, apparently I have to look at my own tweets and replies to see my own tweets and replies. I can't just look at my tweets. Go figure. But here we go. It's a picture of the Risk board game. And speaking of Snute kicking ass, you can see a signature on the board as well. Whoop, boop, boop, boop. If you guys want to have a chance to win this collector's edition of the Risk StarCraft board game, signed by many of the people at DreamHack Austin. Again, you can clearly see like Suppy, Drogo, Neeb, Bales, Snute, Katz, Mike Morhaime, Total Biscuits down here with his little top hat tee. Anyways, point is, this board game also has 4 hidden messages inside, written from myself, Zombie Grub, Fear Dragon, and Holy Moly. Your only way to win this is not, okay, I want to be very clear about this, because this is not like a scam setup, okay? This is not like telling you have to buy raffle tickets to win. This is a reward for anyone who wants to get involved with our new sponsor, Arcade Block. By purchasing one of the arcade blocks, doesn't have to be an arcade block, by the way, it could be anything from the Nerd Block website through that link. So, horror blocks or whatever nerdy stuff you want to do. As long as you screenshot your proof of purchase, send it to us here at BaseTradeTV through Twitch or Twitter or however, that will enter you in for a chance to win that raffle. There's currently 13 people entered in to win that board game, so chances are pretty good. that you'll win that. We also have some pop vinyl figurines for runner-up prizes as well. So cool stuff through Arcade Block in general. But that being said, guys, I think we're going to go to a small break. You know what I'm going to do actually more than that? Corsair. We got that cool video we did for Corsair on YouTube. I love showing this off because I'm a loser, whatever. I never get to be in cool stuff. Everyone is always like, Rifkin, you're too fat for the camera, blah, blah, blah. So I really feel super special when Corsair involved us with this video that it was taken at DreamHack Austin, Zombie Grub's in it, Nathanius is in it, and I'm just going to play it on stream before we go to ads just because I get to show off a little bit. By the way, this video is where I first got to playtest with my,
Stop race.
What the fuck? Okay, I hit some hotkey I didn't know about. Anyways, this is where I first got to play with my Corsair keyboard that I have now. The K70 Rapid Fire! Oh my god! And yeah, that's an iPad game I play in the background. Shut up, guys! Anyways, here's the video, and we'll see you guys in a little bit. Hopefully with a match ready to go soon.